Good morning, everyone. I am Carmen Murray, and welcome to the WITEE Chatterbots show, Women in Tech Empowering Everyone. We are coming live from our funky, fabulous studio at 27 Boxes in Melville. If you want to know about trends, tech, innovation, marketing and advertising, entrepreneurship, or social developments, you just need to tune into the WITEE Chatterbot show. Listen to us every Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Now this morning, drum roll, we have a wonderful guest and a dear friend of mine in the studio. Benjamin Schroederer, born and raised in Germany, but also a seasoned and award-winning marketing professional. I'm sure that you've been seeing him everywhere. As the IAB would say, a true digerati. So he currently leads all the digital marketing for all the Yum Brands KFC Africa. And something I would really like to make a lot of noise about is that Benjamin was named the best marketer for 2018 at the IAB Bookmarks this year. It is one of the most prestigious awards you can ever receive in your career. It's pretty much the Oscars of digital. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Carmen.
I'm super excited to have you here, and I'm glad that our diaries could finally sync. So I think I'm just going to hop straight into it, and I think the most important things is, first of all, congratulations with your wonderful achievement.
Thank you.
But I would like to unpack, tell us a little bit about your career. How did it all lead to this moment? What achievements have you achieved that made you the Marketer of the Year for IAB?
Okay, well, that's an interesting story, I suppose. I started my career selling ringtones. In Hamburg, Germany, I worked for Bertelsmann, which is a media company, and I worked for their mobile content arm. And that's really my first job out of university. Get some sales skills, some technical sales skills. Then for personal reasons, I moved to South Africa in 2007 and had some contacts in telco and started at Vodacom. And they basically said, we have this thing called digital, I don't really know what to do with it. Can you help us with that? So I said, sure. And I came here on my 3-month Vodacom contract and started helping them build, that as a function, which was really a very exciting journey. It was it was a lot of fun, great team. And then in 2014, got approached by KFC to say, hey, we also need some help from a digital perspective. You've done some good work where you were previously. Would you like to come across and help us sell some more chicken? And that's how I ended up at Yum, which is where I am today. And I mean, I have to say, I've been quite blessed and fortunate to work with some really great people in my career that enabled me to do what I'm doing, right? This award, while I got it as an individual, it's really a team award from a KFC perspective. We've got great leadership team, very supportive. My own team is great, very reliable. They know what they're doing, very brave. Our marketing team, very supportive. And I think that's what you need to succeed in this field, because you have to be brave and try things.
100%.
And when you fail, try again. So I've been very blessed from that perspective.
You've got the Jeff Bezos attitude to life, hey?
You have to, hey? You have to.
But it's important, and I totally agree with you in terms of collaboration with your team, but also taking those risks. It's absolutely important in order for you to progress forward. What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen in marketing in the past 5 years?
Well, certainly the fact that digital has become part of marketing, where it was just a next to or afterthought before, right? When I started Vodacom 10 years ago, 11 years ago now, the digital team was 3 people, right? Part of the IT team that looked after call center systems. So we were always, when they were done, then we could update our website, literally. So we can obviously change that, and 10 years later, they have a great team, I think 40, 50 people working in digital for a great brand. And I think a lot of brands have now taken it on board in terms of making it very central to their business planning, even not just the marketing planning. And I think that's one of the greatest changes. The other one would probably be from a digital media perspective. I think it's become just so much more sophisticated, right? Now, back in the day, it was, we can measure digital, let's measure it. And, it doesn't look good. What do we do with it? So you kind of shot yourself in the foot doing that.
Correct.
Today, we're a lot more advanced. You can measure specific things depending on what you need to achieve. And I think it's gone a long way to kind of justify its existence and the attention, I suppose, that it gets.
Yeah. And also, just to add to that, I think also if you look I think the other day I saw a statistic that people are served an average of 10,000 ads. As opposed to in the 70s, which used to be like 300 ads a day.
I looked the other day at the first ever banner ad.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And?
It's very pixelated. It's a very it's a very interesting ad.
It's
You
like,
should Google it. Yeah.
oh, definitely. There was I don't know if you've ever seen Radio Shack, one of the first that ad about the mobile phone and how you can carry this huge, humongous phone around, and it's like so pixelated. Yeah. But also, I think in terms of some of the changes, I think also as new technologies come about, there's also sometimes we see a lot of exploitation in the marketing where we really just grill down to this technology. Like SMS is a perfect example. And I think now that we also have these more advanced technologies, it becomes more individualized, and you can measure who wants to see your ads and who doesn't want to see your ads, that you don't spam them in such a way.
And don't waste as well, right?
Exactly.
You can be just so much more efficient.
And efficient with your budget as well. So we now live in the age of the connected individual. It's becoming more and more crucial that you don't just serve a physical product, but create these experiences as an individual brand for your customers. Tell us more about how your brand merges the physical and digital worlds for your customers.
So first of all, I think the key experience for us is eating our food, right?
Yes.
We know that if our food's prepared correctly and eaten hot and fresh, it really is great food.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a great experience in store. And then we think about how do we enhance this through technology or the environment that we provide around it. Like, for instance, we do a lot of work on the in-store experience, and how do we enable a better experience and make it more delightful for the customer using digital technology through menu boards, screens, those type of things. At the same time, we're also looking at the service aspect and how do we make our life for our what we call them team members, our staff members in store easier, because we believe if we make it easier for them, it will be a better experience for the customer. But so essentially, to answer your question, in this world, we really look at how do we use this technology to enable better experiences that kind of enhance our key product experience.
Something that just comes to mind, I saw KFC did this virtual reality training in-house. Oh my goodness, it was just amazing where you taught these new employees how to apply hygiene and how to prepare the secrets to your product
recipe.
The secret recipe. And I was just like, how clever is that? So it's not just something that you live as a brand and also merging physical and digital for your customers, but I think that you also do that for your
100%.
staff. It's a philosophy almost for the whole brand, which
I've got
I
to say
love.
that wasn't us, it was one of our partner markets, but we're certainly looking at this because we're spending a lot of
It's
money
amazing.
to train our staff properly, right? Because it's all about fresh food, how to handle food, and we want to get that right. So we're looking at technology like virtual reality to make it easier. We use it also for guest tours. So if customers are interested to go back of house, we can either do physical tours or we can do virtual reality to understand what does a kitchen look like. How do you prepare your chicken? Is it really fresh? Yes, it is. Here you fried it. It's handmade. If it doesn't get sold after a certain amount of time, normally it's an hour and a half, we will donate it to charity. It doesn't get sold anymore because it's not fresh anymore according to our standards. And we use technology to kind of amplify the visuals around that.
What a way. And also you can do it so remotely and to extend it to a broader audience which
correct.
I really love. And also, now you also get the Google boxes, which is really efficient and a great way to extend that technology. Also tell me about the sound bites. Is that correctly? Sound bite?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that, because that is something very cool.
So it started probably 2-3 years ago now, where we just had a brief to see how do we make our in-store environment more attractive to youngsters. What are their passion points? Number one is music.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of brands have tried to play in this music space, but it's very difficult, particularly with the millennials, difficult audience. So our agency came up with the idea of building a table that you can spill on. It's basically got a print which is an interactive menu, and then you can listen to music by putting your elbow on the table like this, and it kind of vibrates to your bone, and then you cup it over your ear and you listen to it.
How
so it was a fancy kind of thing. We didn't know if it was going to work or not. The guys loved it. I remember we went to shoot a case study, and we thought we'll have to kind of play excitement with all the guys that were there in store. We're like, oh, what is this? You want to try this out? This is so great. And then we kind of discovered then that we actually are on something really big here, because we now grew it into a platform.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea was, the story was to provide a platform for upcoming artists in South Africa, of which we have many. There's tons of talent out there who don't have record label contracts. So we thought, let's give them a platform to get some exposure, less than where they live, which is typically what happens.
Yeah.
And then have this platform where users rate based on what they like and share and unlock, and create a chart based on that. So we launched that soundbite chart last year.
Amazing.
And try just giving these artists a platform. And there's some really great talent out there. And you see the guys that are rated on top are really, I'd say, professional musicians, right? They're really doing well.
Yeah.
So I really hope that this elevation will help them make their way in the music industry.
And it's a great way to also reach out to the younger audience, and also with the Hustle. I think you sponsored the Hustle show, which I mean, I accidentally came across and I was like, this is such a cool show. I really enjoyed it. But moving on, from a marketing perspective, what are some of the biggest challenges that you believe marketers face, and what advice could you offer them to improve their marketing approach?
So I think it's become very confusing, right? There's so many new things, new technology,
So true.
new ways of targeting.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of marketers that I speak to just feel intimidated by that and then just stick to what they know.
Yeah.
And I think that's a risk for a brand, right?
Huge.
So with our marketing, we do lots of training. Like every quarter, we have at least some digital training to get them equipped to be more confident about digital technology. But I think the key thing, or the key advice would be curious, try things. There's not really much to lose, right? And you might just find the right fit for your brand to get the results that you need. You need to embrace the technology. It's there. Your customers are embracing it. So if you don't, you just get left behind. But don't be scared, right? Be brave. Try new things. See what works, what doesn't work, and do lots of testing. Part of our strategy, we even got dedicated budget to that from a digital perspective to test things. And if it works, great, soundbite. If it doesn't work, there's a lot of things that don't work.
Love it.
We just tried it and we move on, right? And you would never hear about it again. But I think it's a matter of being curious and trying things all the time.
I love that. And you know, there's the innovation model, the 70-20-10. So 70% of your day should be go to day-to-day operation. So I always, you know, when I talk to clients, say to them, 10% of your budget should be for testing. And it's so, it makes my heart so happy to hear that there's brands that really apply this and you see the results from it. So incredible. Great advice. I think one thing that I've also noticed specifically with KFC or the Yum brands is that you've really chosen your partners very carefully, and it's very clear and evident the chemistry and the alignment that you have with your partners. What advice can you give marketers on choosing their partners to have this abundant explosion of creativity and problem solving?
I think that's indeed crucial, right? I think to the earlier point, I think you need to make sure that you surround yourself with the right experts, the right for your brand, the right skills that you need. Right? I'm not very skilled in all these disciplines, but I've got people that help me do this. And I think you choose your partners based on skills and experience, and you retain them based on people and culture. Because if you click, and you really can make something magical happen. In our case, we've been working with Ogilvy for a long time, from an above-the-line perspective, from a digital perspective, same with Mindshare. And we've just built this culture and this group of people that know how we click, right? And it's also, for instance, be able to have healthy debate and criticize ideas and not be upset about it, which I still find some people really struggle with. Right? So you need to be able to build that trust with your partners and make sure that everybody's aligned, understands what you want to achieve, and then I think you can make some really great projects happen.
Love it. But yeah, no, I think that your partnership with Ogilvy has always stood out for me as a beautiful partnership. KFC is also known for the most catchiest line, finger licking good. But in the rise of the connected,
it really is.
It is finger licking good. I have it quite often. Coleman, my husband, he always, like, when I've had a bad day, he goes, he wants some KFC. That's true. But anyway, I'm not going to go into that. Finger licking good. But in the rise of the connected individual, we are seeing consumers having issues with trust and connecting with certain brands, questioning them. Eating clean is a big thing. And also a lot of fake brand news. Like, you know, we see these things surfacing quite often. How do you maintain your brand integrity and relevance with all of these external factors?
So I think we are very much about transparency, honesty, and authenticity more than anything else, right? So if something happens, we'll tell you what happened in that case. We also open up our back of house and say, and I said this before, if you don't believe that we cook our chicken fresh, or we don't use our chicken if it's not been sold after 90 minutes, I'd invite you to come to us and see for yourself. Like as when you started KFC, there's a week of training that you actually spend in a store, and you learn how to cook, pack, sell, which is, by the way, quite a strenuous exercise. You get a whole another level of appreciation for the guys in store. But you also fully understand how it works. And we didn't afterwards do it normally once or twice a year, go back for a day to make sure we understand the processes. And I believe, if you see how it works, and there's some fake news of, for instance, people claim they see insects in the food, right? Which is physically not possible if you fry a piece of chicken, right? It's not possible. Obviously, if you then take the chicken and leave it next to your fridge for 2 days, it doesn't look so good after 2 days, right? So we're very transparent about our processes, how we cook our chicken, how we procure our chicken, where it comes from. We always get asked, is it local? Yes, it is local. We can show you where it comes from if you want. And really do a lot of exercise from a PR perspective, but also for customers or influencers, for instance. Take them back of ours and see what happens. It's very much our approach, right?
Yeah, and I love that. And you also mentioned just now with the virtual reality that you're planning, take people into your store that they can actually, if they have any questions, they can see the processes and how you follow the hygienic side of things. I come personally out of a hospitality background, and let me tell you, in any restaurant, the chef's kitchen, procedures that are followed, it's a big deal. It's not something taken lightly in any environment. So that's great to know that you're also very transparent with that. There's a saying, garbage in, garbage out. Many briefs that we see with some marketers is they give very generic type of briefs, and then they don't get innovation in return. And what advice can you give marketers to do better briefs, to brief their partners better so that they can get the better results?
I think number one, know what you want, know what you need to get out, know how you're going to measure it and what success looks like.
Yes.
Still see a lot of people saying, we want to run this digital campaign, then we run it, we get results back, and we're not sure did it work on it. What do you want to achieve? Right? And make sure you know this up front and align all of your partners up front. The second thing I would say is make sure you got a strong insight, right?
Yeah.
And we've got this method of interrogating why people behave in a certain way, and you just ask why a lot of times. So you see something. Why is this happening? Why are they behaving this way? Oh, because of, they like to get up early in the mornings and get breakfast. Why? And then at some point, if you ask this long enough, you get to a point where you get some tension. You feel, there's an insight we can potentially amplify from an advertising perspective. And if you get that match right, then match it to your product truth or brand truth or whatever, I think then you make sure you get this right. Which, by the way, is not specific to digital, right? That's a marketing fundamental theory, I suppose. Yeah. And I quite live by that, right? So you need to make sure what you want to achieve, how you're going to measure it, and what's your key insight that you're targeting here.
100%. And also, one of the things that I also truly believe is that, we need to go back to the fundamentals of our strategy, exactly as you said. Not just using tactics, but really going to the core, back to what marketing is all about. Because when you miss out what you really need to achieve, we all can say, we all want to make sales. As Simon Sinek says, making money is just a result. You need to understand why. What and how. Then the rest follows.
And how do you tap into that?
Exactly. So I totally agree. Now, I really want to get into this. So, you were very fortunate to attend the 2018 Global IAB Leadership Summit or meeting, How to Build a 21st Century Brand in California last year. Tell us about the event and what it was all about.
It was actually this year in February.
Oh, was it this year? My apologies.
No problem.
I've lost a year.
So the IAB, Interactive Advertising Bureau we have in South Africa, exists globally, and they do the global summit.
Yeah.
And they basically invited some marketers to attend, of which I was fortunate to be one of. And traveled to Palm Springs, was there for 3 days with about 1,000 people, agency leaders, brand representatives, research people, and just debate, I suppose, the agenda of digital going forward. What are the key problems? What are the key trends? And how do we as an industry react to that? It was hugely insightful. very advanced compared to, if you look at the IAB, it's a sophisticated organization. That side, we're still very small here, and I think the guys are working on that. But it's another level globally in the UK or in the US, and it was just fascinating to be part of that, and just experience what's being talked about.
100%, and I also think with what the IAB's got planned and what's coming, I think we're also going to see a lot of growth happening, and I see some big things being addressed within the digital arena. So what is a 21st brand, and how would you define it?
Well, a 21st century brand for me is a brand that understands the 21st century customer and how connected he is, right? If you understand a connected customer, you are a connected brand. And you have to just recognize that behavioral patterns have changed, right? Think, going out for supper and then watching a movie has now turned into Uber Eats and Netflix or Showmax. The guys were saying that your car is going to be your hub where you consume the most media following your couch. And it's just changing today. One of the presenters was saying his kid engages with Alexa, right? The Amazon Alexa piece all the time, and is used to doing that, right? So now he says, I want this song, please, and it plays it immediately. Now I want watch this movie, it plays it immediately. Now think this kid, which is 6 years old today, 15 years from now, that same kid will say, I want to eat this now. Now, how do you make sure you integrate or you prepare for this type of consumer and the demand kind of economy? Because your current business model might not work for that, right? So I think that's what makes us about, and how you become a 21st century brand, to make yourself be prepared for that type of behavior. 100%.
I mean, another thing that I saw that really resonated with me is that you mentioned in one of your recent blog posts on LinkedIn that digital has grown up. Why do you say that? And does that include Africa?
So when I went to that conference, right, I walked into this IAB forum and there was 1,000 people there. There's marketers who now have titles like Chief Digital Experience Officer in a big brand like Unilever, for instance, right? So I just feel that what I said in the beginning, digital has arrived in terms of being part of the marketing environment or in the business kind of plan, not just a channel that we place banners to expose advertising on. So that's what I meant by that. I think it's really come to the table, and now it's been considered right up front for the more progressive thinking brands. In terms of Africa, I don't think we're 100% there yet, right? I think there's a lot of progressive CMOs who approach it that way. We are very fortunate from our perspective that we can do what we can do from a KFC perspective. I do think, though, that when we look at mobile, specifically in some of the technology we see in the continent that's born out of necessity as opposed to let's just do something cool, there's some really groundbreaking stuff there. Like, there's this, I remember this HIV, schedule your doctor appointment via SMS and get reminders because you have to travel 2 days to the next village to see a doctor type thing, which is so simple yet so kind of fundamental for these people that use it. And I spoke to Pete Case, who was the chief creative officer at Ogilvy last year, and he went to an Ogilvy conference and showcase some of the campaigns that we did, like our bucket with a phone, or soundbite, or Shake and Shaken, where we had this video awesome. That shook, or you changed it by shaking your phone. And he said, within the entire Ogilvy world, which is obviously global, and it's obviously just Ogilvy, but there was nothing from a mobile perspective that was similar to what we did in Africa. And they're all like, wow, this is really creative, really clever, right? So I think there's a lot of potential there to take the technology and the innovation out of Africa and show it to the world.
100%. And I think so true is like it's born out of necessity, and mobile plays such an important role. And I think also one thing that I'm noticing in the industry as well when it comes to mobile, being a mobilista, is that there's also mobile is not just creating a responsive site. There's a lot of technologies behind it, and there's a lot of ways of how you can reach out to your customers using mobile.
And it doesn't have to be VR and AR.
Exactly. Exactly.
A big part of our marketing strategy is still USSD SMS based, because
really?
Because it works. And I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon because it's effective.
Don't you think that chatbots will replace that soon, though, in future?
Yeah. Chatbots will play its role. And again, it's going to be consumer driven. If a customer wants to chat to you via chatbot versus USSD, we'll obviously, as a brand that's progressive, need to enable that channel.
Yeah, 100%. Very exciting also what lies ahead in the future. So another thing I would like to ask you, what are some of the important insights and trends from this meeting when you attended the IAB Digital Summit in California? And what can you share with the audience and what to look out for?
So the big discussion point really was this whole issue of brand safety and ad fraud, right?
Yes.
And do I'm actually getting what I'm paying for? And I think advertisers will need to will ask a lot more questions towards the agencies and where does my media actually go? Is it actually be viewable, right? Why am I paying if it's not viewable? The Unilever CMO Keith Weed said, if Facebook and Google don't get their act together, they will withdraw budgets, which is very similar to last year. The guy from P&G, Mark Pritchard, said he's going to do the same, right, from no more YouTube ads, because we're not sure if it's in a safe environment. And I think the industry doesn't have a real answer for that yet. I think that's something I will focus on, even also locally, the IB will focus on how do we get better at that, right? With our partner Mindshare, we're running a pilot at the moment on our own trade desk to trade on viewability to see, what can we actually get. Because I might be naive, but I don't want to pay for an impression that no one sees, right? That's not. I don't want to pay for that as an advertiser. So I think that's a big piece that comes into that. The other thing was around trust, not only in the channel, but also from the consumer into the product. Right? Keith Weed also said a brand without trust is just a product, and that means you exchange
so true.
Right? So how do you build trust with your consumer and get that right? And do you really want to be Amazon? That's a quite interesting thought, right? Everybody wants the e-commerce presence to be like Amazon, right? But then you buy something from Amazon, I think it's so true, and it comes 2 days later and you're like, what did I order again? Can't really remember what I ordered. And as a brand, do you really want to be forgotten in that case and just be one like washing powder on Amazon, right? Or do you want to have an experience that sticks with the consumer, that you will remember your phone, build brand love and equity with that? So that was another really interesting one. And the last one was all these subscription models that come up, right? So now we've seen this with this $1 Million Club, I think it's called, where the razors, you get just monthly, you get one. And in the States already, you buy basically cinema tickets, contact lenses, toothpaste on a subscription model and it's shipped to you, right? So what does it mean for us as KFC as a brand? Should we think about that from where we're going? So there's a couple of trends which are really fascinating.
Well, that brings us to the fun part.
Fun, yay.
Yay. But thank you, first of all, for all of the insight. This is super exciting, and I can't wait to share it with the world. But now, I recently watched you with the Pecha Kucha thing that you did at the Ignite talk recently in Cape Town. I think it was at Spear.
Yeah, it was a stream conference.
A stream conference. And listen, I have never in my life laughed so much. You had me in stitches. So I'm not going to put you under that kind of pressure, but I am going to ask you one question. Since everybody, if you wondered where Ben is from, he's from Germany.
You would have picked it from my accent, I'm
yes.
sure.
People would have picked that up. But I'm going to ask you, what is one common question that South Africans ask you about, your culture, and you go, why do they ask me this question?
Yeah, there's a couple, but the one that I get normally a lot is, oh, you're from Germany. Have you ever driven on the Autobahn? And I'm like, Autobahn is the German word for highway, so I do it quite often, actually. So it's quite funny, yeah.
Oh, that is so hilarious. Okay, so teach me one word that we don't have in English that is such a profound word to use in Germany. Oh, in German, sorry.
I think that it's very similar to Afrikaans, I believe. I don't speak any Afrikaans, right? But I keep being told a lot that there's words that don't exist in English and you can't just describe it. And we got the same in Germany, right? So there's one word which is called Fremdschämen.
Fremdschämen.
Shaman. Okay, we do some private lessons afterwards. And it basically describes the feeling of being ashamed on someone else's behalf. So think about watching Idols, right? You're sitting in front of Idols and someone is really bad and you're like, I can't really watch it. I have to switch channel, right? Because you're feeling ashamed on their behalf. Why would you do that? So
love that. That's awesome.
It doesn't exist in the English language, unfortunately.
Well, I'm definitely going to try and adopt that word. I don't know if it's going to come out the way you say it, but anyway.
We'll try again.
Okay. Now, we have a tradition on the show. So we play a 60-second game where I'm going to ask you 10 questions and we need to try and get you to finish it in 60 seconds. So starting now. Give me one word and its meaning you wish we had in English.
What the same what I just did now.
Yeah.
There's another one called Schnapsidee, which is the idea you get when you're drunk and you'll forget, or do you regret the next day, right? I don't think we have that either.
Oh, I love that. Okay, what would you title your autobiography if you had one?
African Adventure.
Do you think there is an intelligent life in outer space?
Yeah.
Oh, Elon is going to love you. Okay, mountain or ocean?
Ocean.
Choose 2 celebrities to be your parents.
Elon Musk and Beyonce.
Beyonce, oh my God. Okay, if you had to work on only one project for the next year, what would it be?
From a work perspective.
Any perspective.
Just equip everyone with the knowledge to succeed from a digital perspective.
Ooh, you've done 6 out of 10.
Wow, almost. Yeah.
Well done.
Not that easy.
Well, all the questions weren't easy. I should actually give you 7 because I've asked the same question twice.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So 7. Anyway, guys, I just want to thank you, Ben, for coming.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
It was so awesome, and we're going to share the podcast a bit later, and and hopefully we can write a bit about some of the information that you shared with us today to also give some valuable advice to our marketers out there. Congratulations as Best Marketer of the Year, the IAB bookmarks.
Thank you.
And hopefully we see you there next year.
Awesome.
Taking the title. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to brandlive.co.za.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
The WITEE Chatterbots. Join myself, Carmen Murray, and my double trouble, Jessica McIndoe, with our big personalities, and we will present you with an insightful yet fun show.
We will feature interviews with industry heavyweights and unpack everything from new technologies, marketing trends, and case studies to empower you to be ahead of the curve.
Brand Live.
Join us on this exciting journey every Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock and start a conversation on #WITEE Show.
#WI